Welcome to another session of OOIDA's Business Education Series. OOIDA is proud to offer the most comprehensive business education series available for America's professional truck drivers. We would like to thank our many friends in the industry who take educating America's professional drivers as seriously as we do. With the help of these sponsors, we've been able to make the programming on the Business Education Series free to all drivers. This program is being sponsored by our friends at DAT Solutions. Besides powering Members Edge, the official load board of OOIDA, DAT Solution provides actionable information to the most extensive network of transportation professionals in North America. This information includes things like supply and demand trends, benchmarking, forecasting, and capacity planning, which is critical to operational efficiency. DAT Solution Products includes the largest network of load boards where brokers, carriers, and shippers posted more than 120 million loads in trucks last year. DAT Solutions also provides the industry's only real-time freight rates based on $24 billion of transactions annually. Please support DAT Solutions, where the trucking industry turns for business intelligence. Visit their website at www.dat.com. All right, let's get started. Our topic today is finding loads. And finding loads is one of the most requested topics that we receive here at the association. And this is such a complex topic that we've decided to break it down into several modules. Today, we're going to be talking about advanced load boarding. My name's Tom Gann, and I'll be your host for this program. And I feel really fortunate to have the same three guests that we used in our basic load board program. And I guess it's possible that some of you may not have seen the basic load boarding program yet. So let me take a minute and go ahead and reintroduce my guest. My first guest is Tom Weekly. Tom is Director of Operations for the OOIDA Foundation. And I'm also going to be joined by Bert Gu. Bert is a sales manager with DAT Solutions. And also joining us today is Kim Anderson. Kim is a marketing program manager, and she's also with DAT Solutions. Now, as I said before, this is a complex subject, and we've got a lot of things to cover, so let's just go ahead and get started with this program. I know some guys are just a whole lot better at using load boards than other people, and so I hear a lot of guys tell me that when they post their truck, they just get all kinds of calls that aren't relevant or don't match what they're looking for. And yet I talk to other guys and they say, oh, I post my truck and man, people just call me and I book loads off that. What's the difference? What can a guy do when he's posting his truck to make sure he's only getting the calls that are relevant?
Well, one of the most important things to do when posting, I think, is to be very specific in your posting. You need to be clear as to where you're willing to go, what your truck type is, especially if it is a specialized truck. There are comment lines that allow you to go on there and be very specific on what you require to move a load. You can even state your rate if you happen to know that. That can help eliminate excess calls, but you will get calls. And I think that that's the benefit, though, for you, is that those brokers are seeking you out. They want to offer you business, and you don't have to work with them. You can go on the board, look them up, see if they might be someone you want to work with. But with them calling you, I think you do get a little bit of an advantage in the negotiating side of things as well. They're looking to do business with you, so you may have a little bit of an upper hand, and maybe you can negotiate a better rate that way.
I think additionally it's also knowing when to post and maybe enhancing that posting with perhaps just putting your rate in there. You don't have to take an offer as well. I mean, if you knew that in an area there's a ratio of 5 loads to every one truck out there, which what that means is that 5 loads got posted, 1 truck got posted, so there's 5 loads for every 1 truck in our system at that point. That's in the driver's favor. They can put their rates on there, they can turn down any offers that they don't find appealing, but again, it's up to the driver to select the best offer that they can, knowing that it's in their favor in that particular lane because of that ratio.
And I think that comes with experience, knowing what range to post and for your price, what you're willing to haul for. And also, I think there's an art to writing the comments in there so that people understand what you're really looking for and what you will do and what you won't do.
Absolutely. I mean, when they're in a driver's seat and the state of the particular lane is really in favor of that driver, they've got to put it out there. I want $2.50 per mile in this particular lane because it is extremely hot. There's a 20-to-1 load to truck ratio. So that will definitely limit your calls. And you get to decide what's your sense of urgency. I need to get back there in 2 days versus I need to get back there in 5 days. I mean, if you're showing a sense of urgency, then you kind of show your hand as well. So having that flexibility, planning ahead before you get to an area is going to make a big difference.
What about when I'm searching? What are some of the things that guys who are really good at finding loads, what are some of the things they do different from the average Joe?
Well, when searching, I think it's being specific as well. I mean, if you know exactly when you want to search, or where you want to search, you can search ahead as well. I think it's planning. So when you're on the road, knowing that you're going to be in a particular area in 2 days, it's really advanced planning, knowing that I'm going to search now or I'm going to post now, saying I'm going to be available then. But when you do that, it's also searching for alternatives as well. I mean, knowing that you have to go from point A to point B doesn't mean you only have to search in that particular lane, because some lanes pay better than others. And you'll find that when you start looking at lane rates, you might find that it's better to detour a little bit off your direct line because you'll get paid better overall.
What about, are there certain times of day that's better to search, or even maybe days of the week?
As far as searching and posting, it's typically Mondays and Fridays. And one thing to really take note of as well is when you're posting out there, your posting is time-stamped. So if I'm posting saying I'm going to be available in 2 days, I want to make sure that I refresh that, every few hours or perhaps every day to make sure that it's up on the top of the list on a search result as well. So refreshing your posting definitely makes it look like, you're going to be ready as soon as that broker needs a driver.
One thing to keep in mind, with the refreshing, is that, a lot of people tend to search 2 hours or newer in some circumstances, and when your posting does hit that 2 hour mark, it tends to fall out of a lot of searches in some cases. So refreshing, if you have that kind of time, will be very beneficial, especially if you're in a market that is not in your favor. That will help you get a better response and give you the most exposure. Another thing too is when you are thinking in advance with the dates, when you do a search, it helps to sort by the date, and then you can scroll down and look for your specific dates. If you are a few days out, I think that by searching in advance and thinking ahead, you're going to give yourself a chance to probably find a better rate as well.
I know as an owner-operator, you want to make sure, if at all possible, that you're available to take a load on a Friday, because that's the primary shipping day for most shippers, and brokers are under pressure to get those loads to their destination on time. So that allows you 2 to 3 days to deliver, because you also, if at all possible, want to be open to take a load on a Monday. Again, if you get it on a Monday, you're done on a Wednesday, get a day of rest, and be refreshing and posting your truck for that Friday. It takes advantage of the days that are most often used for shipping. So that's something that you need to plan in advance, and somebody searching and posting his truck and refreshing it needs to do that, I think, pretty much on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and a big part of it, like we've emphasized, is planning ahead. If I know that I'm going to be in a particular area in 2 days, I should start searching for loads. The loads are posted ahead of time. So if I saw a load that was going to be available in 2 days and it was only posted 5 minutes ago, to me that's the perfect prospect. I'd call that company right away. As opposed to waiting to get there and then looking now, and you might see an 8-hour posting that's been out there for quite some time. We emphasize that brokers and shippers alike really need to remove their postings as soon as they're taken, but again, that's something that it's got to be a habit that they get into, and we're pushing that as much as possible. But I know that drivers really dislike calling on loads that are already taken. So the freshness of the loads, having something that was posted within minutes versus hours is really important. And again, that's the same for a broker or shipper that's looking for a carrier. They want something that's been posted recently, is very fresh. So posting your truck availability 2 days in advance is great. Constantly updating it to show that it's been touched and refreshed is just as important.
Now, I know a lot of load boards allow you to set an alarm, and does that kind of take the place of having to refresh all the time?
Setting an alarm is going to alert you the second something does go on the board that matches your truck, and same as for searching. It's a good way to cover all your grounds, I'll say. Let's say you have multiple lanes you want to look into. You can do a search, set an alarm. You can do another search, set an alarm, do another search, set an alarm, and get all your lanes covered so that you get alerts the second anything shows up on any of those lanes. But what refreshing does is it will alert the broker through their alarm as well. Keeps you up at the top of the list, and if you are still available, it will set off the alarm when you refresh, and they'll notice your posting. So you'll probably get a much better response if you do refresh your postings consistently throughout the day.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of guys get confused on. They set those alarms and they think they don't need to refresh or go out there and keep updating. And it's just a matter of doing the job. You can't be lazy.
And if you're in a competitive market and other carriers are posting their truck, you're going to want to refresh because your posting's going to slowly move down that list as the day goes on. The refreshing will help you stay up at the top and show your availability.
I think it's so important, especially in this advanced load board techniques, that you know your cost of operations and you know what the going rate is in any particular lane, which is to me a huge advantage of using the load boards to understand that, and the truck to the capacity to the loads, and by taking that load right away, and you secure that load right away, it keeps your wheels turning. And the old saying holds true: if the wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. And so you want to keep those wheels turning just as much as possible, as long as it's matching your cost of operations and you're making the kind of money you need to make a profit and be successful.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that people understand that load boards are just one source of information out there. I mean, really, there's information out there on the internet. DAT trend lines, as an example, that really shows a lot of supply and demand and capacity across the nation. And these are free tools that are out there that anyone can get to, but they really help supplement information you gather on load boards. So a driver knowing more of the detail out there as far as supply, demand, economy is going to have a better standing when it comes to negotiating the rates.
Now, in one of our earlier programs, actually it was the program on basic load board concepts, Bert, you mentioned triangle routing. And let's go in and talk a little bit more about that, because I think the guys who are really good at using load board, this is a key tool. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that really getting an understanding of the rates going from a particular area, let's say, again, from Houston to Los Angeles. If you know the rates there, you know the supply and demand of loads and trucks in that area, you'll get a better understanding of whether it's best to go, as the crow flies, or to detour a little bit. I mean, if you have the time and the willingness, rather than go straight from, point A to point B, you might want to add a point C in there. You maybe want to go up, and again, these are just examples. I'm not really looking at rates in these areas, but instead of going straight from Houston to Los Angeles, why not stop in Denver if there was a lot of loads or was very high paying to go to Denver? You have to look at the average rates in an area, the miles that you're traveling, and really get an understanding of which is most profitable. So triangle routing is really a great way to look at maximizing your profit by looking at the alternatives out there.
So we talk about triangulation, and that's exactly correct. That gives you more options and allows you to choose routes better and to be more profitable.
Something that can be very beneficial in triangle routing is the alarm matches. You can actually use those to notify you whenever there are matches on the various lanes you want to consider to get home. And if you do your searches properly and determine the higher paying lanes, set various alarms on those lanes. So when you are outbound, you can continue to get alerts on your inbound routes.
I think what that comes down to is just maximizing your opportunity. Really, if you're willing to go to a number of different states, set up searches and alarms so that you can see when the best paying loads pop up on any of those three, so you have the flexibility to take those and then get to your final destination.
I know on the OOIDA load board, Members Edge, there's a search map that allows you to look at the number of inbound and outbound loads in a city or area. That's another key thing to helping you understand what kind of pay you're going to get or what kind you can demand anyway. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, one benefit with the search map feature is it is showing you inbound and outbound for that state. So if you are booked for a lane that's going inbound to a state, it's definitely recommended to look at the outbound. That's going to determine your backhaul. And using triangle routing can be beneficial if you realize too that backhaul is not paying so well. You can use searches to find better paying loads and then see if you can find a way to route over to the nearing state and then haul back from there.
I think this tool is one of those tools that really differentiates between that beginner and the guy who's been doing it for a while. The beginner, he sees a load going into Florida and boy, he's going to make a lot of money and he's so happy and he's so proud and he gets there and I can't get out of here. And those guys who really know how to use a load board, they are looking days ahead of time, aren't they?
They really are. Look at your inbound as well as your outbound, and you're going to want to average your revenue for both of these lanes because that's really what it's going to take. And if you're going into Florida, you definitely want to look at other alternatives instead of getting straight out of Florida to your destination. You're going to want to see if you can get anywhere out of Florida. You might have to detour to Tennessee or something else if you want to get to Texas. But triangle routing, looking ahead, it's going to make a huge impact on your bottom line if you plan ahead.
Okay, it looks like we're completely out of time. If you've got any questions or comments about this program, or if you'd like a certificate of completion for this program, just send us an email to businesseducation@ooida.com. And don't forget to tell us which program you're referring to. Before we get off the air, let me take a minute to remind you to thank our sponsor, DAT Solutions. DAT has been helping connect drivers with loads since 1978. Whether you're currently using a load board or not, you owe it to yourself to go online to www.dat.com and check out the tools and resources they have available for all drivers. We hope you'll join us online again for additional programming in the OOIDA Business Education Series. This series has been designed to give serious business education to truck drivers who take their business seriously. And don't forget, OOIDA has been fighting for the rights of all truckers since 1973. You can join the fight by becoming a member of our organization. Give us a call at 800-444-5791.